And there you go there. Now it's live. Hello. Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to the monthly show where we sit in a chair and talk about things. Today, we've got Dogen. Say hello, Dogen. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to... Oh, shit. And Dogen, can you switch your monthly annual...
Oh, hold on one
monthly
second.
show where oh, no. You might have to use earphones because I can hear you on your end. Got Dogen.
Let me grab my earphones real quick.
Whether you think about that. Welcome to... Oh shit, and Dogen, can you switch your annual never-ending echo effect? I don't know if you did it for a few seconds. Oh, it's so trippy. Shit.
Let me grab my earphones real quick.
Whether you think about that. Welcome to... Oh shit, and Dogen, can you switch yours? This is Dogen's first hangout.
Oh jeez. Give me 1 second. 1 second.
I don't know how you get around that, actually. It's weird. All right, hello. Welcome to Google Hangout Inception. Oh boy. All right. Can you hear me, Dogen? All good? Can you hear me now? Oh no. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
There we go. Should probably have run through that beforehand. It wasn't doing it a minute ago, though, was it? When we were playing around. Anyway, let's not.
Yeah. I've muted the YouTube side such that it's just the only thing I can hear is your voice, so we're good to go.
All right, very lucky. Okay, so yeah, guys, this is Dogen. He's been making videos. How long now, Dave? Over a year? 18 months? 24 months?
Yeah, I've been active on YouTube again for about, well, since January 1st, 2016. So
January 1st. Was it like a New Year's resolution? I'm going to start making videos. Or was it like...
It wasn't a New Year's resolution so much as it was kind of a good day to start posting, so to speak.
Yeah. All right. And
I knew that I wanted to do it for a long time, but the first was a good starting point, I guess. And
how many videos have you made now? Roughly?
I think around like 80 or something like that.
80? Quite a lot in the space of 1 year.
I make one video each week, one comedic video each week, and then in addition to that, I do the Japanese phonetics side. So if you count both videos, it's 80, but if you don't, it's, I don't know, 65, I guess.
And you're like Dogen is a complete Japanese language expert. When I first saw his videos, about 6 months ago, I was completely blown away by his accent. If you've seen like Dogen's videos, write yes. If you've seen Dogen, write yes. If you haven't, write no. Just so we know roughly who has and how much explanation we need to go into on Dogen. But it was his accent. It was your accent that won me over, Dogen. I thought you must have been like a half Japanese or something, or like born and raised in Japan to do it. But you actually learned it yourself, right?
Yeah, I think anyone really can develop an accent similar to mine, if not better. It's just, I think it all comes down to how you study Japanese. And I talk about this a lot in my lessons, but basically my principle is that it's been very well documented that the older you get, the harder it is to develop a native-like accent. So the first like 2 or 3 years I spent studying Japanese, the only thing I studied was Japanese phonetics. So that's the speaking element of Japanese. And I like to think that less than, I would say, 5% of most Japanese textbooks is dedicated to phonetics. So I did a lot of research on like pitch, accent, and pronunciation, stuff like this, stuff that's not very well documented.
So you're pretty much self-taught. Yeah. You basically sat in a room and just did this and read a phonetics book.
Yes and no. I think that
it's pretty specialized stuff. Like, I'm impressed by your level of commitment. I think most people would get bored like studying phonetics on that level of detail.
Well, let me cut you off before I seem like a guru, because what happened was I studied Japanese when I was younger. I started studying Japanese when I was 13 years old, and I studied about a year by myself, just using books and tapes. And then after I got busy with other studies in high school, I stopped for a while. I kept listening to Japanese music. And then during university, I started taking Japanese classes for the first time in my life. So the first time I ever took a Japanese class was during my second year of university. But then during my third year, I spent my entire third year studying abroad in Keio University in Tokyo, just on an exchange trip. But because by that point I knew kind of the importance of phonetics, so to speak, I kind of bullied my teachers into teaching me, phonetics specifically. So each class, it was mostly like grammar and vocabulary and kanji and that kind of stuff. And every other time there was a new word, I would say like, okay, well, what's the pitch accent pattern, or how do you say that like precisely? Take it a little bit slower. And they got so fed up with it, they just said, okay, we're going to do a different class for you. And so they opened like this first of its kind Japanese pitch accent class that I understand it still exists today at Keio University. So,
crikey. And in terms of like, obviously JLPT level, have you done like a JLPT test or anything?
Oh yeah, I've gotten N1.
Did you laugh your way through it?
Not at all. I think that
well, the Japanese language proficiency tests are more of a memory test, right?
Yeah, I think that N2 is quite a practical level to have. I think that N2, there's a lot of good everyday words. There's a lot of phrases and stuff that people actually use in like the workplace and stuff like that. But at the N1 level, it's mostly like, I wouldn't say it's mostly, but there's a good amount of like archaic grammar and phrases that people just never ever say. Yeah,
I got that. I mean, I started learning for N2 a few years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just memorizing loads and loads of stuff. You didn't even need to be good at speaking necessarily. It was just
exactly.
mention, like it was just like memorize tons of vocabulary.
Yeah.
And I nearly passed. I did it 2 years into studying my Japanese. Like I went from nothing to taking an N2 test in 2 years. It was more just for fun, and I didn't expect to pass, and I didn't. I'd like to say I did, but I came dangerously close to passing. I was a little bit frustrated, so I was a little bit frustrated about that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd known that I'd actually had a chance of passing it, I might have put in a bit more effort during the exam. But someone's bloody phone went off. I remember now.
Oh,
fucking phone went off, like in the test, and everyone was just sort of looking around, and it completely like threw me off the listening exercise, and I was really annoyed me.
It's real weird though, because I mean, it's like you mentioned, you don't have to have any speaking abilities whatsoever to get any proficiency on the N, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. There's no speaking at all. So it's funny because I know like a lot of Chinese and Koreans in particular that can get N1 or they have N1 or N2, but I think especially I noticed that there was a lot of Chinese students that I studied abroad with, that their writing
I already know the characters. A lot of the characters
they were so much
thinking.
Further advanced than their speaking and I would say conversation abilities, that it seemed almost counterintuitive.
You're right. What's going on in the room? Something going off on the left. Just quickly, guys. Can you? I don't know how this works with the 2 camera thing. Like a minute ago, people said they couldn't see me and stuff, but I'm a complete noob to this stuff, so don't really know how Google Hangouts work. Where are you watching from, guys? Let us know where you're watching from right now in the world. It's the exciting thing about YouTube. You never know. You could be a child on a bus in Canada, or a kid in India, just watching. I don't know, but like anywhere in the world, let us know where you are. Quite keen to know. All right, Dogen. So I'm gonna interrogate you now on some quick getting to know you questions. All right. Standard questions, nothing too exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, favorite food in Japan. Favorite Japanese food.
Tonkotsu ramen.
Tonkotsu ramen.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a good one. All right. Why tonkotsu ramen?
Well, I love.
You live near Fukuoka, right?
Yes, I do live near Fukuoka. So.
Cuisine of Fukuoka.
Exactly. So I've spent most of my time living in Japan, in Kyushu, in Oita, and I've always loved ramen and noodle dishes, but you know, Kyushu is famous for tonkotsu ramen. So
Oh, pretty sweet. Yeah, I've still got to go down to Kyushu actually. I've got
you
to go
gotta
down.
come.
I've got to visit you sometime. So, for the record, Dogen and I have met twice now. We met in November, and we met no December, sorry,
Yeah, December.
and we met in January or February.
Yeah.
We've met in Yokohama twice.
Mhm.
Dogen loves Yokohama. Should I call you Dogen or Kevin? I never know. I know that in the
I think
6 months I've
Dogen
known
works
you, I've
better
never
just
called
for
you
the
Kevin.
person, just for the YouTube personality.
What does Dogen mean?
Okay, this
What's the
is a
meaning?
fairly interesting. I don't know if it's interesting. It's a story, but
All right.
so when I was in high school, I got into a sport called martial arts tricking, which is kind of like gymnastics mixed with taekwondo and karate, and
Yeah.
everyone that
Bloody
was
hell.
doing it at the time was self-taught. So everyone that did it in the entire world was on a single forum online. And Kevin was taken, and at the time I was reading books about like Zen Buddhism, and I thought it was quite interesting. So Dogen is a major figure in Zen Buddhism, especially within a certain sect of Zen Buddhism. So I kind of stole it from him.
That's cool. All because of some guy already had the name Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't
Name stuck.
for Kevin, I'd be Kevin.
Yeah, maybe you'd have to resort to using a pun to name your channel.
Yeah,
Like
Kevin, Japan, Ramen 38.
Kevin's Japan. Japan with Kevin. Yeah. All right, next question. Favorite place in Japan? And don't say Kyushu. It's got to be somewhere else.
Uh,
Given that you live in Kyushu and you're probably biased.
Definitely Minato Mirai, Yokohama, where we met.
Yokohama. Yeah, everyone loves Yokohama.
Yeah.
Before I came to Japan, I often dreamed of living in Yokohama. I thought when I like visualized Japan, I pictured myself like sitting at Yokohama docks playing poker with some Japanese fishermen, and fucking weird. I don't even know why. And when I went to Yokohama, I was disappointed to find that there were no fishermen playing poker, and it was very sad at the end. There you go. Maybe I can make a film though. I can make a film about
Yeah,
that.
I
Short
mean
film.
that's
Don't know how it would work.
the only way, the only option left to live out that fantasy.
All right. How about what's the difference between Japanese girls and American girls?
Japanese girls and American girls. Okay, I think this is a great
Serious now.
conversation to have because
Leans into the camera.
it can give us a single concrete example to kind of illustrate the differences between American culture and Japanese culture.
Sounds very serious. Yeah.
So I think that if we have
What the fuck is this?
a spectrum, if we have a spectrum,
Spectrum.
yeah, I think that the U.S. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but the America it's a place of extremes. So if we're talking about women, this could be any topic whatsoever. There's going to be all sorts of women, just like there's going to be all sorts of. I like to talk about it in terms of bodybuilding. Actually, I always tell people that if you take bodybuilding in the United States, you're going to have people that are really, really small and just getting into it, and you're going to have people that are really, really advanced and they're pumping themselves full of steroids, and it's just all over the place. There's a huge spectrum.
Okay.
And in Japan, that spectrum is much, much smaller, and it's a little bit more towards the extreme, not towards the extreme, it's towards the favorable end. And I think most topics. So in general, Japanese food is better than American food.
Right.
I think in general, the common sense level in Japan is higher than what it is in the United States. And so like maybe one of the big differences between American girls and Japanese girls is that Japanese girls, I think, as a whole, tend to put more time and effort into their physical appearance. If we take just one, random, arbitrary aspect of, what a woman is.
All right. Okay. Well, pretty. Yeah. That was a lot more detail than I expected, but good.
Yeah. But I think
I don't. There is no right or wrong answer. You can't generalize to you can't generalize on that scale. But there are very different. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I cannot compare a Japanese girl to a British girl in terms of personality. Personality is just so different.
Yeah, well, maybe you can give an example of that before I touch on personality as well.
Oh, you put me on the spot. I don't know. I think when I dated a Japanese girl for about 2 years, and it was always very serious. I don't know. I often look at Japanese relationships as very businessy. It kind of almost like a business relationship in that you kind of talk about when are we going to have kids, when are we going to get married, and you kind of schedule your entire relationship in that way, and your roles seem to be a lot more divided up and a lot more in depth. I don't know, but the problem I had with the girl that I dated is she didn't speak her opinion enough. I found it difficult to really understand what was going on in her head. I felt like there was always some sort of barrier, and maybe language was an aspect of that, because at the time of knowing her, my Japanese wasn't that great and her English wasn't that good either. But I don't know. It just felt like I didn't know what was going on. She wouldn't tell me her real opinion a lot of the time about things. I would have to just guess, and we'd often be in arguments. So I wouldn't know what we were arguing about. So it was very bizarre. Yeah.
I think that's spot on. But I also think that this is, I think, a statement that kind of envelops all of Japanese culture, because the kind of mutual understanding that exists between Japanese people in general, and kind of the, I guess, attitude towards making society better rather than making your life as an individual better. It just is so much stronger in Japan than it happens to be in the States or probably in the UK. So oftentimes people have, I would say, a more similar like-minded way of thinking in Japan than they do in the States. Again, going back to the extreme spectrums, I would say more people in Japan tend to think a certain way than people in the States. So there's, I would say, a lot more flexibility in terms of not having to say things, having it be understood, without having to say it.
We could talk about this all day and still only scratch the surface. Interesting topic though. Yeah, I didn't realise. I mean, I didn't know Japanese people were as different to Western. I didn't know the Japanese mindset was as different to Western thinking as it was until I got here and spent a few years here. But it is. It really is.
It's completely different.
I can't underestimate that enough. All right, next question. Why do you wear a hat, even though you're not wearing a hat now, and therefore that question is pretty much redundant?
I would say two major reasons. Both are shallow. So when I started YouTube way back in the day, and I would say before I appreciated self-deprecating humor, I thought, okay, I'll try and make myself look good, and that'll help me get more views. So I've got big ears and a receding hairline. So if I use a beanie, it's two birds with one stone.
It's very cool. It's a level of cool that I can only begin to imagine. Do I have a hat? No, I don't have a hat.
But what happened is I realized how
you should get some serious merchandise there, like Dogen branded hat. There you go.
Yeah, I realized how kind of foolish and shallow this was after my third video in, but it had kind of stuck. Because I decided that I wasn't going to change anything about the structure of my videos. I wasn't going to change my clothes or anything, the shooting style. The only thing I would change would be the script, each video. So it kind of stuck, but it just annoyed me to all hell because, again, it's so stupid. Like, okay, I want to look cool, you know? So in recent videos, I've just taken it out because it's like, okay, I want to go into like deeper stuff. I want to make fun of myself and, you know.
Are you saying you can't be deep whilst wearing a hat?
Absolutely. No, not at all.
It's a revelation.
I think that every time that I put it on, I think it's basically.
So I like this in the comments section. Dogen, please make a video of top 10 reasons I'm losing my hair.
Okay, OCD would be number one. OCD.
Wait, how old are you, Dogen?
29.
Older than me.
Yep.
Also, I guess we should turn to the comments section.
Yeah, let's do that.
Guys, ask away some questions. I've got some questions people have sent in, but of course, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to do these live shows, and the trick is to read questions from the comment section. So yeah, shoot, ask away, and we'll get on it. I still haven't grasped who is on camera at the time. Like, it's really annoying. I don't know. Sometimes apparently people can see me but not you, and then it's the other way around. So
yeah, I don't know. I think.
Can you see me? Can I see?
I'll tell you what. I think what happens is Google Hangouts. What it does is it prioritizes whoever's speaking at that moment. So if I'm speaking, it'll probably show me, and if you're speaking, it'll probably show you.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm also clicking a little button. I've been changing it a few times myself. I thought it did it automatically, but
I think that when you click that button, I think that's what you see. So I think that only affects it for you. So like well, let's not talk about this.
Yeah, all right.
I think that people probably don't care.
Yeah. Chris, what was the hardest thing about learning Japanese? The hardest thing about learning Japanese is the start, when you're trying to get it all in your head. You know, you're trying to actually grasp the grammatical structure. After the first year, though, it does get a lot easier in that you understand the structure of Japanese and you can add to it and learn words a lot more easily. Like now, if I want to learn new vocabulary, it's really easy to do. But yeah, that first year learning Japanese. What do you think, Dogen? Most difficult part of learning Japanese?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of them. Again, I think that there's, in terms of learning a foreign language, I think that the number one thing that people always emphasize is communication. And I think this is how they should emphasize it. But in general, I would say that like a typical textbook like Genki, it often also has kind of like a secondary emphasis on prepping people in the long run for something like the JLPT. So what happens? Yeah, so what happens is, again, they don't put any emphasis at all on speaking, pronunciation, intonation, things like this. So I actually think that if you go into Japanese without having any previous linguistic knowledge about, you know, like what phonetics is and the importance of learning it early, I think that you're spot on in the sense that the first thing that Westerners, native English speakers, kind of hit in terms of a wall would be the sentence structure, which is different from English.
Yeah.
So in Japanese, it's subject, object, verb, which is different from in English. I went to the store. So subject, verb, object, right?
Definitely.
But once, again, as you talked about, once you get over this word order and the syntax, I guess,
things get a lot easier.
Things get a lot easier. But what happens, again, after this is that people often realize that a year, 2 years, 3 years in, oh, I've been developing bad speaking habits this whole time. I've never put any time into like pronunciation or you know, intonation again beyond the very basics. So
I was wondering, as a question I've seen in the comment section, a question someone sent in, has learning Japanese or becoming like your level fluent of Japanese to a native level, has it changed your thinking and behavior, or has it changed the way you act as a person? Have you like turned Japanese in any way?
I don't think so. I don't think I think if anything, it's given me a new kind of set of rules to play with, but I think it's still up to the person whether they want to play with those rules or not.
Right.
So like on my YouTube channel, I use Japanese as a medium to deliver my jokes, but most of my jokes are kind of more, again, like self-deprecating jokes, or kind of more like Western style jokes versus like Japanese style jokes, which tend to be mostly slapstick.
Right. Yeah. I guess I don't know. You see, I don't think it's changed you that much from what I've like. The way I talk to you, you just seem like a normal American guy, to be honest.
Well, I think that there are certain personalities that are more compatible with Japan, and I think that my personality, just my natural personality, fits fairly well into the Japanese culture. But I think, again, there's a
You mean
big
introvert?
spectrum. Yeah, exactly.
A bit of introvert, yeah.
In the spectrum of all the types of people that exist in the US, I think that I'm one of the few types of people that can come to Japan and kind of settle in and not be bothered by, the cultural differences that I notice every single day. But again, I think that knowing Japanese hasn't really changed my personality. It's just allowed me to live more comfortably in this culture that I already kind of naturally fit into, in terms of, again, personality.
Cool. All right, we've covered learning Japanese a fair bit now. Let's dive into YouTube. We've got a few questions here,
Right.
and I've lost it. Where's the question gone? Andrew says, could you guys go over some tips for starting your YouTube channels? You started your YouTube channel pretty much 1 year and 3 months ago. And you're new to the game, I guess, in that regard. I've forgotten a lot of the earlier things I've done, but what tips do you have for someone starting a YouTube channel?
Geez. I think it really depends on your end goal. And I would say Ricky Gervais has, like, I think the greatest quote about this. And he says, if you want to get famous, just kill a hooker, I think a lot of people
what advice is that, Dogen?
Well,
there you go, people watching. He wants to start a YouTube channel. Kill a hooker.
I think that a lot of people get into YouTube because rather than wanting to create something, they want to get famous, or they're interested in making money quickly in an easy way, so to speak. But I think that the people that create content on YouTube that has merit, I think that they actually don't care about the money. And I think that there's two. I think there's probably more than two, but I think that you can get famous on YouTube by creating quality content and pursuing that over the long run, and I think that you'll get rewarded for that in the long run. Or I think you can kind of do a lot of like daily vlogs, cheap stuff that's only trending.
What I like about your channel is that you have a very clear structure. Like the opening 10 seconds, there's a bit of music, then the text comes up, and then you walk in, and then you deliver. I like that. It's nice and simple. There's a clear structure. Did you think of that before you started? Well, how'd that happen?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think I guess this is a good time to address this, but before I got into YouTube, I was a writer, and I was let me clarify, I was an amateur writer.
Anyone can be a writer. Everyone often says they're a writer. I find so many people say they're a writer.
Yeah. So
it's a nice title.
Basically, I spent my full 3 years in the JET program writing short stories in Japanese. And towards the end of the JET program, I digitally published those, like on the iTunes store and like on Amazon, stuff like that. And they got, fairly good reviews. I think I'm a competent writer. I don't think I'm like super talented. I don't think I'm awful. I think I'm okay. But I think that I thought it would be interesting if I presented the things that I've written in kind of a stand-up kind of style way. There's this kind of form of art in Japan called rakugo, which is kind of like, it's kind of like stand-up comedy, but it's like sit-down storytelling.
Right.
So the whole concept of my channel is supposed to be kind of like stand-up comedy meets Japanese sit-down storytelling together. And then not all of the essays, or not all of the videos that I do, but a good portion of the videos that I do are actually scripts that I've written like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, for like my collection of like short stories and stuff like that.
So you do script your videos out. I find that's one thing we have in common, that we both seem to script a lot of our videos.
I script every word and every single small motion in my video. I'm so bad at performing on the spot, and I'm so poor at just spontaneous, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you're not. I don't think you're poor at all. I don't think you're poor, but I don't know. I find a lot of people who seem kind of confident on camera, especially as a YouTuber. Meet them in real life, and they're very different to what you imagine. And you're quite different. You're definitely different. When I met you, you're definitely more introverted in person than you are on camera. As a sort of confident guy with a hat, you know. Maybe it's just a fucking hat.
Well, I can be confident when I put the hat on because no one can see the receding hairline, you know. So
it's not receding. Well, it might be, but
it is.
Run out. It looks all right.
I'm doing a good job covering it right now.
So. Cody says, "Is it a struggle to come up with content for your channel? Do you get a lot of companies wanting to sell you out?
Maybe you should answer this
one. First one. First bit, is it a struggle to come up with content? No, it's not too difficult at all. I've got a big list on my MacBook Pro. You got a little, I don't know if people have got a MacBook, you get a Post-it note thing, right? You can put right on Post-it notes. So I've got a Post-it note on my MacBook Pro, and it's just got like loads of video titles. And I've got about 50, maybe 30 or 40 on there, ideas that I've got to make. And in terms of, I'll turn to you quickly, Dogen, for that. Have you got like a list already?
Yeah, I think that coming up with content coming up with an idea usually isn't that difficult. What's usually difficult for me is, let me rephrase that. I think that writing the individual jokes is usually much easier than coming up with the grand idea for a video. So like I have this one video where it's supposed to be like a dictionary for katakana words. So, or for kanji words, or for katakana words. I can't remember what it is right now, but it's like if you have a good idea, oftentimes you can produce an infinite amount of jokes out of a single idea, but coming up with a good idea often takes a good amount of time.
That's a very good point. If you're if you want to be a YouTuber or anything creative, my advice to you is keep a little notebook on you at all times. I keep a notebook in my pocket, or I use my phone, and whenever I have an idea, I write it down. And this is like the top tip to anyone doing anything creative, whether that's writing or filmmaking. You'll have ideas throughout the day, and it's up to you to try and put them somewhere and write them down. And often I have a list of jokes or things that I want to talk about that are funny or something, and I will try and look at them all and see where I can fit them into the video. And often I'll try and base an entire video around those jokes or certain points. But yeah, always write down your ideas, keep your ideas written down somewhere, and try and base the videos around, try and base like parts of the video around those jokes if you want to be.
I agree with that advice 100%. I think that the majority of the good ideas that you don't have them when you're in front of your computer getting ready to write. It's usually like when you're taking a shower, or like when you're going to work in the morning in your car or something like that. So it's critical to be able to write that idea down on the spot, or you will forget it.
And then as for the like selling out bit about businesses, certainly, I mean, I don't know how many times you've had it, Dogen, but often every day I get emails from companies asking me to feature some shitty thing in the videos. And I haven't really done it at all that many times, but I think as a creator, if you're doing it full time, you do need to accept some kind of sponsorship video once in a while, perhaps, like once a month maybe. But yeah, just be careful what it is. Only if you have complete creative control. For example, today, there's a kind of sponsored video coming out where we have italki in the video, who, as you know, we've got Natsuki the movie coming out in May. To people that follow my Patreon, we've got Natsuki the movie. We're filming it in May. Before we go to London, Natsuki needs to get good at English, and so we teamed up with italki, this language learning website where you find a tutor, and we've got Natsuki learning English with a tutor, and it's a pretty good video. It doesn't feel like it does. It's not. I don't know. I think it's a good video, but you've got to be careful who you take on board. I only would ever consider working with a business who gave me complete creative control in the video I got to make. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. How about you, Doug?
I can't really talk about the subject in too much detail because I've only had a few offers so far, but I would say that
they do start coming in thick and fast. When you start hitting around 10 to 20,000 subscribers, you'll start getting your emails flooded with really weird stuff. I get so much weird shit. All these different products, like, oh, Chris, will you feature this Hoover in your videos, a vacuum cleaner? It's like, oh, how about fuck off? Like, it's awful, you know. The YouTube channel isn't there to market people's shit. It's there to be useful, entertaining, educational. You know,
I think as long
companies
as
get it wrong. Then again, some YouTubers go for it. You know?
Yeah, I think as long as it's a product that you stand behind, then I think it's not really a problem. I think again, it's ultimately up to the creator in terms of a creator can always make a good joke or a good story out of any content, whether that's an actual sponsorship or not. You know, and I think that the viewers, you know, can see through something that's the creator doesn't believe in. So
yeah, just standard rule. If you become a YouTuber and you accept any sponsorship, make sure it's something relevant to your viewers in some way, like actually it can benefit them, and B, they give you complete creative control. And those are the two things to look for. We should probably dive into some of the questions people have sent in. We've got a few here.
All right,
So we've got first question. Good question from a guy from Jason. I want to move to Japan, but I'm afraid the magic feeling might get old fast. Do you still feel it? Feel the magic feeling? Do you still? I get what obviously I get what you're saying, but do you still feel the magic feeling, Dogen?
First of all, I think that this is a very mature question because I think that there are a whole ton of people, myself included, when I was younger, that was under the impression that Japan is this perfect place and that every problem that you ever have will be solved if you just get to Japan.
Right. Yeah.
And because
I did have that. Yeah.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where because you actually have never been to Japan, there's nothing to deny these kind of fantasies that you make up in your head. And there's a whole bunch of amazing things about Japan.
Well, as I mentioned, my Yokohama poker fantasy.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I'm here. but again, it's a country full of people that have issues and problems that are similar to, I would say that the problems are different from other countries, but they're just different. I wouldn't say that living in Japan is better than living in America, and I wouldn't say that like Japanese people are better than American people. I think that they're just very, very different. And again, I think that the spectrum is always a good analogy.
But do you still feel the magic? Yes or no?
When I cut my ears, I can hear it. I think that if you look for it and you try and
if you look for it,
I think that
God damn it, man! Can you feel the magic or not?
Yes and no.
That definitely means no. That level of hesitation there, you don't feel the magic.
Well, I need to articulate the answer, I think, appropriately for this guy, and I think that the best way to answer it is that if you're self-aware enough to realize that it's kind of a magic because you haven't been here before, then you'll be able to cut through all the fake magic that exists, in your mind, and be able to actually discover the cool and I would say rewarding elements of Japanese culture.
This is getting so political. You've hedged your way out of saying, no, I don't feel the magic. Quite clearly.
Well, no, I honestly believe that. I mean, I don't see Japan with rose what is the term, rose-colored glasses or whatever. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't see any country that way. So.
In terms of my opinion, I still feel excited, and I still feel the magic. Although there's been a notable drop in the last year, maybe, or the last 6 months, perhaps. I don't know. I feel like I've started seeing and doing everything again and again. You know, it's become because I travel around Japan quite a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of the sort of adventurous traveling fun aspect has kind of gone. I go through stations again and again, and I've lost that element of exciting discovery. You know, when you first go somewhere new, you kind of wonder, oh, what's over that mountain? I'd love to find out. But now I feel like I've been over a lot of the mountains and I've seen and done so much
Yeah.
that it kind of has lost a bit of the magic. At the same time, there's still enough magic, I think, for another 2 to 3 years. But yeah, my plan originally was to travel around Asia and around the world a bit more. But yeah, I don't know. If you guys have like lived in Japan, or if you're living in Japan now and you've lost the magic, or if you still have the magic, let us know. Like, let us know if you live in Japan, or yeah, let us know in the comments section. It'd be quite interesting to see what you say. But we should probably stop using the phrase "the magic" now, because I'm sick of hearing the word magic due to the amount of times we've used it in the last 10 minutes. All right, next question. Sarah says, I'm moving to Japan next June. What's the best way to make friends? And as a mid-20s female, will I be safe? What do you think? What's the best way to make friends?
I don't know, actually. I think you'd probably be better at answering this, because I don't really have any Japanese guy friends, and usually because I was just like, I literally spent like...
But you have Japanese girlfriends?
Well, exactly. I'm married to a Japanese woman.
Yeah.
But I again spent most of my 3 years in the JET program just working on writing, and I rarely ever went outside to go to like karaoke or like drinking or anything like that. So I'm not good at making friends, but it was never an issue for me. So because I was having a good time writing. But
before I answer, well, on the second part of the question, is it safe to girls in their mid-20s? Would it be like, has any of your girlfriends, like, ever had any stories of anything going wrong?
Yeah, and I think that this is something to be aware of. I think that typically 99% of the time people are fine. I think that the general level of safety in Japan is extremely high. That being said, it's very common for women to experience like molestation on like the morning trains in the morning.
Yeah, no, I've come across quite a few friends who have had guys touch them and stuff on trains.
I don't have any close girl friends that haven't experienced that.
It's so fucking weird. And if I saw it, I would, like, if I saw one of my girlfriends that stand there and the guy doing that, I would go fucking ballistic.
Yeah,
it seems to be really common. I mean, for people who haven't visited Japan or lived in Japan, you won't know that the camera noise sound effect, it's illegal to like have a phone that doesn't have the camera shutter sound effect, because there's so many weird motherfuckers on trains taking pictures with their phones that they've had to make it so that you always have the sound come out when you take a picture.
So they can catch you in the act.
Yeah, so you can be caught doing this. And I don't actually know of any girlfriends who have had any serious situations arise. I know a colleague who was a teacher in Yamagata, she had her underwear stolen off the fucking clothesline outside. Some guy just came in the night and came over and took her bra and underwear and walked off with it, you know.
Yeah, you hear a lot of things, kind of like strange
It's kind of
things
like passive.
this.
It's kind of almost like passive. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I would say that if was this person coming as a tourist or were they moving here?
This Sarah is, I think she's moving to Tokyo in June.
Okay, I think that in Tokyo, try and avoid the morning trains then. And if you have to ride them, stick to the women-only trains, because they do have those. for the safety of women.
And if someone does do anything, don't be afraid to call them out. Like, fucking slap them in the face.
But I
Because
think
a lot of people I know have done it, just don't do anything. Because I think it's just that you must be in a state of shock. You know.
Yeah.
And I do know a lot of girls who have guys talk to them in the city a lot, who will like call out to them and stuff. But again, that's common in every country. For the most part, though, Japan is pretty safe. It certainly feels a lot safer than somewhere like the UK. You can walk around the street at night in Japan and feel pretty safe in a way that you can't do in a lot of places in the UK. So for the most part, I feel a lot safer in the UK. And I feel a lot safer in Japan than I did in the UK.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've never, ever felt even the slightest amount of like fear about being out in the city in Japan, or like.
Although when you do wear your hat, you probably look quite intimidating to Japanese passers-by.
Oh, perhaps. But again, I think that for women, this could be a completely different situation. So the one thing that I would say is that there are these kind of unique cultural situations, or I don't know, just idiosyncratic things that happen in the Japanese culture that I would be aware of. I think just being aware of them would be help in terms of avoidance.
Definitely. So be aware of that. But yeah, for the most part, I think. And to answer the question, we still haven't answered the first part of the question. I haven't. What's the best way to make friends in Japan? It is just to go out and just meet people out and about. Go to a hub. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but go to a chain of British-themed I said British, they're not, but go to hub, and there's lots of there's other foreigners there, but there's also Japanese people who are quite sociable and outgoing and fun. So you can meet people there. But go on Facebook, and if you're in Tokyo, in your local area, just type in like I don't know, type in something on Facebook there's usually loads of events going on in that area that you'll be in Tokyo that you can get a piece of the action. So, and there'll probably be like a foreigner group as well. I always find it's a good place to start, is to try and befriend other foreigners living in that area that you're going to be in, and then from there you can meet Japanese people that way as well. Yeah, but Facebook's pretty good for that here. Like I'm in Sendai, and I've befriended quite a few people just by using Facebook. I saw an event for a Sendai comedy night. I went to the comedy night. I made a few friends there. I started hanging out with them. Through them, I met another friend. So, we have to start somewhere and just go to a local event.
I think that using online social media is a great way to meet people in Japan.
Definitely.
And one piece of advice I would recommend is that it's good to have a balance of both foreign and Japanese friends. A lot of people say, I'm only going to hang out with Japanese people to improve my Japanese, or I'm only going to hang out with like foreigners because Japanese people don't understand me. But if you don't really get a good mix, oftentimes you'll end up going crazy for one reason or another.
Absolutely. And I know so many foreign friends who fall into that trap, just hanging out with other, English teachers. It's a shame, all my best experiences in Japan, most of my best experiences in Japan come from hanging out with Japanese friends. So try and get a good balance. Jake Smith says, at what point did you transition from real world jobs to YouTube, and why? Was it money or YouTube being more enjoyable? I don't know. To you, Dogen, are you a full-time YouTuber? You're not yet, are you?
I'm not. I really, really wish that I was. But
to be honest, you've actually done quite well in heading towards that direction, thanks to Patreon. You've got some good support from your patrons, and because of your videos. I really like your videos because there's actually some educational benefit. I only watch YouTube to learn things. Like all the channels I'm subscribed to are like educational channels, and yours is one of them because I can learn something and be entertained. What was the point I was making? I forgot.
Am I a full-time YouTuber?
But you've actually done pretty well, considering you're just over a year in now. It took me 3.5 to 4 years to feel confident doing it full time, and that's through a combination of Patreon and YouTube channel growing, and taking the occasional sponsorship job. But you're doing pretty well.
I'm in a really weird position right now, and I plan on addressing this in either my channel or my Patreon in the upcoming days. But I'm in kind of like this catch-22 position where, because I work full time, I can't put very much time into like my videos and my Japanese lessons.
Sure,
But
I completely empathise. I had that problem for
yeah, but
3
at the
years.
same time, I'm already making as much money on YouTube or almost as much money on YouTube as I currently make at my full-time job. But I don't
Sure.
get the benefits like health insurance for me and my wife and like all these other little things.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I'd say it is you're still, because you're young, well, you're 29, that's pretty young. You can probably afford to take that kind of risk. One
Yeah.
thing I did about a year before I launched Patreon back in 2015, I actually took out a loan back in the UK. I took out a loan. I used that to kind of fund me through the first half of 2016 to see if it
Yeah.
was feasible and stuff.
Mhm.
Which I finished paying off now. And if I hadn't done that, the YouTube channel would have been over about a year ago, which would have been a
Yeah.
terrible shame. But I don't know, my advice might be consider taking out a loan if you need to,
Mhm.
and then that loan will cover maybe 3 or 4 months. In that period, you can really like focus on making
Yeah.
videos,
Yeah,
scripting,
it's
writing,
not a bad
filming.
idea at all. I'd like to try something like that. I just there's a couple of like external issues beyond work, kind of like family related stuff that are tying me down at the moment. But I do think that in the next year, I'll be able to make the transition from office worker / YouTuber to YouTuber. So one piece of advice I would give to anyone interested in YouTube is that views don't equate to, I would say,
Money.
income or money. Yeah.
Good Lord, no.
Because, and I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but like the way that I have my Patreon account set up is that I use Patreon as a platform to sell an actual product, which is, Japanese phonetics lessons. So even if I have a very, very small subscriber base comparatively, like I have around 10,000 right now, I still make like $2,000 a month.
But that's incredible. I don't know any other Patreon channel. I think you've got, how much do you make? 2,000, you said?
Yeah, I just passed 2,000 on Patreon, so
that makes you by far one of the most successful like Patreon people who has a Patreon like in Japan. Who's a J blogger that I know.
Yeah, I think that again, it's like if you can find a different way to approach the whole YouTube, I guess, game. If you can sell a product that you believe in, you don't have to get sponsors because you're selling something that you create yourself. So
true.
Basically, I use my Japanese lessons, which I would say the comedic Japanese lessons, as a way to, I would say, expose people to the other, the phonetic lessons that I do.
But I think you're an excellent example of how to use Patreon. And I think people support you just because you're teaching something valuable and you're the only one doing it that I know of on YouTube. I mean, that's why I like your channel. There's no one out there who kind of does it like you do. God, that sounds shit for the way I just phrased that. But there's no one out there who does it like you do, Dogen. But you provide something of value.
I appreciate that.
In a way that not as many J bloggers do. Not that many J bloggers do, I find. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think again,
I'm pretty biased. But
I could get a lot more views if I made like daily vlogs, or if I ever vlogged. I intentionally don't vlog, but instead I put that time into a product that I can actually sell immediately. So
how often do you make videos now? Is it once a week, once every 2 weeks?
I make a comedic video every single week, every Monday, and I release a Japanese phonetics lesson every other Monday, or every other week, basically. It's not always on a Monday.
Okay. And realistically, to be successful as a YouTuber, you need to have at least one video a week, and it will lead your channel upwards. If you have like a 2 week gap, you'll notice a pretty big drop in everything. Money, subscribers, revenue, everything will go down dramatically. You've really got to do it regularly. So bear that in mind to anyone looking to start YouTube. And that was one of the reasons it took me 3 years to really get off the ground, because I was only doing it monthly. Idiot.
Yeah.
Do you do time lapses, Dogen? Why are you laughing? Time lapses are everything.
No, I always tell people, like, One of my favorite videos, I think, in all of YouTube is the video that you did where it's like a satirical vlog of you going through Akita City with like the
Okay.
time lapse and like the Casey Neistat shots and everything. It's like
Huh.
it's you don't have to have good gear to write good jokes or to make good content. And I think that people often confuse. I know that I still do this. Definitely, it's like you trick yourself into thinking that if I just get this new computer, then my YouTube channel will explode. You know.
But do you have a drone yet?
No,
Fucking hell, you need a drone.
I don't even have a
You
smartphone.
need a drone. I think you need it. Like, I know most of your videos are just done in a sitting room with you standing in front of a microphone. But if you had a drone, it would take things certainly to the next level.
If I had a drone, I would imagine that within a week, I'd probably have like close to 100,000 subscribers, if not more.
To do that, you'd need to combine it with a time lapse.
And 4K footage, right?
Right.
It has to be
A
4K,
drone
right?
lapse in 4K.
Okay. Okay. Pro tip.
I don't actually have a drone. People keep asking, and I put it. I think I can't remember. I either put it to Patreons or I put it to people on Twitter, and they were like, "No, don't bother getting one." And I completely agree. I only know of like a handful of YouTubers who actually use it well, and usually it's just instead of having good content, it's just like fuck it, let's have a nice shot of the bridge. It's like
Yeah.
shut up,
Yeah.
go and do something good, write something funny, be creative and original.
Yeah. I think like Albo, he has a drone, but I think that his channel is like perfect for drones because he does like he follows cars through like the mountains and he gets like aerial shots looking down at car chases and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think it's not. I don't have a problem with drones. I have a problem with people using drones when they don't need them.
Yeah.
When they're just a vlogger,
Yeah.
vlogging their daily life as they go to the shop to buy a sandwich. So,
Yeah. Well, did you see the video that Filthy Frank did about drones?
yeah, I saw it. Of course, I did.
love it.
Yeah, I saw it pretty good. Yeah. All right, let's see some more questions from you guys.
Yep.
We've got 2 minutes left. We started a bit late, so I'm happy to run for another 10 minutes.
Okay. Just FYI, I'm good for another like 20, 30 minutes even. I don't know what your schedule is.
Right. After this, I'm uploading a video and then working on a TED talk. That'll be fun. So,
look at you.
What time is it? It's 10 o'clock here, right, guys? And yeah, I got out of bed at like 10 or 11 o'clock this morning. It was awful. And yeah, I suck. Can you answer my crepe question? Yes, I do remember your crepe question. What sort of fillings are there for crepes in Japan? Says Chantel. I want to make them and spike them like a real French chef would. What kind of fillings are there in crepes in Japan?
Oh, geez. The only crepes that I've ever had, I think, were banana chocolate crepes. But you see a lot of very kind of eclectic flavors in Japan. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like octopus crepes and stuff like that.
Well, there isn't from what I've seen. I had my first Japanese crepe just last year, and they don't have Nutella. Like Nutella, do you have Nutella in the US?
No.
What? I didn't know that. Lord, it's basically
I know what it is.
A praline cream thing, but yeah, it's great. Damn. No, strawberries and cream. That's the best flavor. But there is a shit ton of flavors. If you like crepes and you like coming to Japan, then you're in for a very exciting time indeed.
Yeah, I think cuisine in general in Japan I don't know. It's just she was from France. If she's from France, then there could be maybe a less of a disparity. But like the difference between the standard of American cuisine and Japanese cuisine, like it can't even be compared. Like Japanese cuisine is so much more refined.
It is more refined, but at the same time, Japanese cuisine has a lot. Japanese cuisine? Fucking hell, I'm tired. Japanese cuisine has a lot less diversity in it. Like I find myself becoming bored of Japanese food. Like the other day, I was walking through Sendai, and I was like, I really want something exciting. Oh, I've eaten this everything. Like in 1 week in Japan, you can eat pretty much every Japanese food there's ever been ever. I miss that in the UK. There's a lot more diversity. in terms of food.
That's a good point. I think that a lot of the times when they have like international dishes in Japan, like maybe like Mexican food in Japan, it's kind of like Mexican food for Japanese people.
Yeah, right. I mean, all Japanese food, like for example, Italian food is very Japanified. A lot of the
Yeah.
stronger flavors are removed, and I find the Japanese people's palate is a little bit different in terms of they have to have something either sweet or salty. Spicy things I find don't go down as well necessarily.
Yeah,
Richer flavors don't work.
you couldn't stomach the natto beans during that
Natto.
video with the idols.
Oh shit! Yeah, God, that was horrible. Like, for those of you that saw it, I had to eat Marmite and what else was on it? I don't even remember. Marmite, natto, grasshoppers, and I was horrible. I was actually like sick. The moment it went in my mouth, I was like sick spontaneously, and I had to like blur out my mouth digitally because it was just fucking
so
horrible.
good. I loved watching that.
Stupid video. Honestly, why do I do that? I don't understand. Why do I do the things I do? Oh, YouTube. It's just when you're a YouTuber, you have an excuse to do lots of weird, crazy shit.
Yeah.
Although you haven't branched out into the weirdness and randomness yet.
You know,
You're very much a writer.
I like to think,
Sticks to his guns.
Yeah, that of myself as a writer. I had an idea for a video. Maybe this can be kind of spoilers, but I thought about just straight up lying about a thumbnail and saying something like
clickbait.
Yeah, doing something like hot knife versus big stick of Japanese butter or something like that.
Right.
You know, it's like these clickbait videos that are going around right now. But then the video itself would actually just be me reading in Japanese this short story called Minku. It's like this really great short story from one of the Japanese authors that I really, really like. But I thought it kind of, the juxtaposition might be kind of interesting. Like not even explaining that, okay, this was clickbait, but it's actually this. Just having it be one thing and then the actual video being something completely different. Be careful.
From my experience of doing that, you will get a lot of dislikes. People don't like clicking on something and then finding out it's something else. Be careful.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought about that. I thought it would almost be like kind of a good statement on society to show like these people are more interested in like watching a knife go through butter than like hearing modern Japanese like literature, like a masterpiece. Yeah, exactly. That's so I almost think it'd be kind of fun to like get the dislikes and like talk about that at a later point.
Yeah.
But yeah, sketchy territory.
Sketchy territory. Let's dive back into the comment section.
Let's do it.
When are you going to see if you've received any packages from your fans abroad? Anything in your mailbox yet? Yes. To you guys, I actually got the packages. I've opened the packages 2 days ago. I filmed them with Natsuki. We filmed opening all the packages, and it was hilarious. I nearly choked to death, and that video will be out maybe the week after next. I think it will be out, and I'm probably going to go on the Abroad Perspective channel just because I don't know if everyone's going to watch it, but certainly the key viewers of the channel want to see it. But it was pretty it's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. So, and thanks, everything that we received was really awesome. A few things spectacular, but yeah, no, thanks for sending everything you sent. Chris sounded like he was condescending when he said, "Yes, I remember your crepe question." I was like, "Oh no, it wasn't being condescending." I actually write down all the questions. Right, I tried to have some structure here, so I write down a lot of the questions that people have sent in, and then tried to read it out, but yeah,
it's just the British accent.
I'm not being condescending. I have a way of talking where I sound like a dickhead. So, yeah.
It's like that.
I don't know why people
it's character though. Like my American accent is very nice so bland.
Like, the way I talk in videos and on these kind of things, I sound quite dislikable. Like when I hear my own voice,
I disagree completely.
I feel like if I was someone else, I'd want to punch me in the face. So I've got this TEDx talk thing coming up in 1 week, and it's actually 1 week tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't memorized it. I'm in trouble, but I did a run through of it, and I don't know, I was just listening to my own voice, and I just thought, oh my god, I sound like such a dick.
I think that I assume that there's a lot of jokes in it.
No, actually, because about 50 to 60% of the audience is going to be Japanese. Actually, maybe more than that. They're not
Oh,
going to get the humor. So if I'm sarcastic,
right.
it'll just fall on deaf ears, and people won't get
Yeah.
it. So I've actually had to get rid of all the humor that I'd normally put in. It's just very bland and shit.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Maybe you could like bring someone up from the audience halfway through and like hit him over the head several times.
Yeah, I
There you
probably
go.
won't do that, but it's something I could definitely consider. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up in a second. Any last questions you want to shoot away? Shoot away, and we'll answer. But how's this been, Dogen? How's this experience
It's
of being
great.
on a Google Hangout? It's
I
good. It
think
takes a while. In the first 15 minutes, took a few minutes to warm up, didn't it? Get it
yeah,
going.
I made the mistake of not using headphones. So I think the first
Yeah.
2 minutes was a hurricane, but
But we've learned some valuable experience there.
I think one thing I'd like to touch on this real briefly is that maybe we can kind of wrap it back to like Japanese culture versus American culture.
Sure.
Again, American culture, or I'd say Western culture, kind of has more variety in general than Japanese culture. And working and living in Japan, I work in a normal Japanese company. I work in Japanese, and I work very similar to the way that a Japanese person would work.
Right.
So it's always really, really interesting for me to interact with other creators, whether they're Japanese or whether they're non-Japanese, just because
Sure.
it's just creativity is something that I don't run into very often in my normal job. So it's always great talking to you or any of the other guys from the group, and
It's cool.
it was great doing this live stream as well. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always a learning experience. I'm certainly still learning how to do it. This is our 5th or 6th live show, I think, and I'm constantly learning how to do it, trying to make it interesting. It's a balancing act because I'm trying to talk, but I'm also want to read the comments and engage, and it's it's a tough thing. But it's fun. It's very fun. Let's gun through some last questions. What's the TED Talk about? The TED Talk is about me being a YouTuber in Tohoku and the fact that there's no other YouTubers, and I don't know why, because it's quite a good thing. It's quite fun being a YouTuber, but no one else seems to do it in Tohoku, so I'm trying to convince people to do it. And the talk is basically, I'm not special. I became a YouTuber. I do it. It's fun. Why is no one else doing it? And that's basically the subject of my TED Talk. I'm trying to encourage other people to do it and become a YouTuber. So yeah, that's the TED Talk. Any other questions? Tips for someone going on the JET program? Oh, that's a big topic for another day. Tips for going on JET, Dogen? You did JET, didn't you?
Yeah, I would say my number one tip for going on the JET program is do something in your free time that will give you an opportunity, that will give you career opportunities for after you get off the JET program. Because what happens is people that come on the JET program, they say, well, I don't know what I want to do yet. I'm going to go to the JET program in Japan for a year, for 2 years. They come to Japan. Sometimes they get good at Japanese, sometimes they don't get good at Japanese. But what happens is a year later or 2 years later, they go back to their own country. And the only thing they've been doing for a year and a half is reading simple phrases from English textbooks.
Right, yeah.
And oftentimes all their friends will be moving up the career ladder. So like what I did is I tried to write as much as possible. You did a lot of like YouTubing and developing your channel.
Yeah.
So let's say that you do get on the JET program, you have to realize that essentially your job is teaching your native language. Oftentimes, even if you're not a qualified teacher, you just happen to be a native speaker. So think about the future beyond the JET program, about what you really want to do.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Very grown up advice there. My advice is
stinky adult like me.
No, my advice is as a JET, when you go on JET, just try and get engaged in everything you can. People will offer you opportunities to do things all the time. Just say yes, and roll with it. Become like a yes man or yes woman. Certainly before I came here, I was a bit introverted maybe, but I was very closed-minded. People would often invite me to stuff and I'd be like, no, I'd rather watch a film or play a game. But when I got here, I was like, yes to everything. Do I want to stay in a temple for the night? Yes. Do I want to do a speech to English students? Yes. Or like all these different things happen. Just keep saying yes.
Yeah,
And
I think that's great
completely-
advice as well.
see your experience in Japan as like a film or something. Like, what would you want to look back on and see that film or that book to look like? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking, how can I monetize my time in Japan again? But I don't know how if you leave Japan after 4 or 5 years, how would you like to view your experience? Surely you'd want all those memories of singing karaoke with the drunk businessman, or helping the kid win the speech contest, or going and having a spiritual moment in the temple. I don't know. Get imaginative, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? All right. I think we better end it there.
All right.
Cool. Great. Well, thanks for joining today, Dogen. I'm sure we'll see you again in the future.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
No, it was good fun, and I guess I'll see you soon. Is there anything happening? Maybe. We'll talk about it somewhere else.
We'll be in touch. Yeah.
But yeah, no, and to all you guys, wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for supporting either myself or Dogen.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Keep us doing these things, and as always, if you have any ideas for videos or things you want to see, feel free to email me or Dogen and give us ideas. We're pretty open-minded about things, and I certainly want my channel to be helping people, you know, as well as entertaining people as well. So yeah, anything you want to see. I saw a few people in the comment section mentioned coming to Japan without Japanese, and as I'm making a video on that, I'm scripting it right now because it's a big topic. So keep an eye out for that. Should be out in around June or July. But to sum it up, you don't really need Japanese to travel around Japan for 2 weeks. Do you, Dogen? No.
I agree.
Cool.
Yeah.
And and be sure, if you haven't seen Dogen's channel, check it out. He's pretty funny and sarcastic. That's why I like him. Yeah. Your sarcasm is awesome and off the charts. So yeah, good, great. Well, thanks guys. Have a great weekend, and there'll be a video coming out in a few hours, hopefully, a new video on my channel. So thanks. Yeah, great. Have a great weekend, guys.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, Dogen. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. See you later.